wanted to make another little video on testing different methods of growing things. Well, in particular, I'm going to try some growing of some bush beans using 3 different planting methods. One of them is going to be rototill, 1 row of rototill. I'm not going to do a huge row, just 1 row rototill, and plant straight into it. And then the second method is going to be dig and flip, where I just essentially dig the sod and flip it over into the trench and plant right on top of the flipped sod. And the third method is going to be one I'm calling weed eat and seed, where I'm just going to weed eat a row. Well, I'm going to use the weed eater to completely scalp the grass bare as I can with the weed eater off where I'm going to plant, and the dirt itself won't be disturbed virtually any. And then I'm going to plant right on top of that. So that's no dig, and of course no till. It's just going to be using the weed eater to scorch the grass off and then plant right on top of that. And so let's get to it. Alright, the first part is going to be the electric rototiller here. There you go, that'll be fun. Some of the devastation of the rototilling. At least a couple of big fat earthworms got chop-rated that I saw. Probably innumerable others that I didn't see got tilled up and chopped up. So that's one of the prices to pay when you do this rototilling. Soil biology takes a hit. But maybe it'll be worth it when if I get some good bush beans, and I take care of it from there on out without tilling it afterwards. Anyways, that's for the long term. Who knows? Look at that. The death, the destruction. It's chopped. Oh man. Yeah. Brutal method. On the other hand, this dirt looks surprisingly dark and perhaps somewhat fertile. It's just, my front lawn, been uncultivated for who knows how long. But it looks surprisingly dark. It did rain really heavily a couple nights back. So now I'm just going to take all this dirt on the trench and scoop it up into the middle to make a nice little hill maybe to plant into. Try to get the sod to be straight up underneath the dirt so it won't grow back. I mean the sod, gotta get the grass to be straight up under the dirt. It's completely flipped over. That way it won't be able to grow back easily at all. At least that's the plan. Okay, well that was the digging row, or the dig and flip row. Definitely took more work, like hands-on labor than the rototilling, but it wasn't bad at all. You know, it's just 10 minutes, give or take, for about a 10-foot row, so that ain't much at all. So it's not really concerned with the amount of work unless you're trying to do like a 50-foot row, and you know, big time. Then it turns into a lot of work really quick compared to rototilling. But the next method, oh, and one more advantage to the dig and flip, you know, right off the bat, is that there didn't seem to be any earthworms. I imagine I cut a few, but a whole lot less than the rototilling. I didn't see a single earthworm during the whole digging and flipping process. So that's a pretty good indication that it's not as destructive to the biology. And I had a funny thought, you know, this dig and flip method. You flip the grass upside down, all the roots are, you know, pointing up and the grass going down. And so imagine if you were flipped upside down your head and you had to live on your head from here on out. Eating and drinking while on your head, and breathing, of course, and sleeping while standing on your head. It ain't going to be easy. So the grass is probably going to die, but some of it will survive because it's pretty adaptable. Anyways, now on to the third method, which should be the least work intensive of all, and that is the weed eat and seed. Well, one other note first. I thought it was good to emphasize the difference between this dig and flip method to something like a double dig John Jeevons. I think that's his name, John Jeevons method, the double dig. You know, on double dig, you practically are trying to disturb the soil as much as rototilling, and even to a deeper depth than rototilling, you know, a double shoveling. And you break up the soil on purpose and try to make it nice and loose and crumbly. Well, the dig and flip, you don't get crumbly dirt. You just got the sod, whatever the sod is, that's what you're mainly working with. I'll, you know, chop up the very top of it in order to plant the seeds into it, just a small amount, but the sod is mostly intact, so it's very different from double dig where you, or of course the rototilling, where the soil is all crumbled up and stuff. So that's going to be an interesting contrast. Well, I got some weed eater malfunctions. Getting the string on and off this old weed eater is a pain. Makes me consider doing some other method, you know. I'm not trying to do traditional no-till where you just cover the grass and let it die. I'm just trying to get rid of it fast, so I gotta get the string off of this thing and try to get some new string on there to stay. Alright, got the string on there. Now let's give it a go. Ah! The string came off again. Dang it, I thought this was gonna be the easier method. Well, that didn't last long before the string came out. Only got like a couple of feet done, and it was basically trying to use the weed eater like a little mini tiller or something. I don't know. Guess I'm gonna try the plan B or C or D or whatever you call it that I just now came up with, is to literally, I guess you could call it scalping the earth with a shovel. Just scalping the grass right off. Basically what I was planning on doing with the weed eater, only now I have to do it manually with a shovel, so I'm not actually digging. I'm just scalping the grass, cutting the grass right at the base off shovel and leaving bare earth behind. So again, minimum topsoil, very minimum topsoil disturbance, and then planting right into that. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so there's the scalping method, I guess I'm going to call it now. Instead of weed eat and seed, it's scalp and seed. So I just scraped off the grass, didn't do the best of jobs, but I didn't want to dig to get the grass out, and so just scraped it, tossed it over here, and going to plant into that and see how it goes. Alright, so these are what I'm going to be planting. Bush beans, contender variety, put out by the Mountain Valley Seed Company, a True Leaf Market company. So I'm always under the impression that legumes in general don't need a lot of fertility. They are soil builders, so they don't necessarily need the soil already built up a lot. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to use them in these low fertility, just straight into the dirt kind of method. But I did think to add something for convenience sake and perhaps for a small fertility boost. I'm going to put down a small little layer of Burpee organic premium potting mix. Just put down a small layer underneath the seeds and then cover them with a layer of it so that they can have maybe a little bit of a boost right at the start. So this has just got, though it's premium potting mix, I don't have much experience with potting mix, but this has gotten fairly low fertility. It's just comes out total is 0.12% nitrogen, 0.12% phosphate, and 0.12% potash. So that's the water soluble mostly, except, well, yeah, water soluble, but a good portion of the nitrogen is water insoluble. So I don't expect a big boost from this stuff, but maybe a little extra to help the peas out. But if I'm right, then the peas don't need much extra fertility in the first place. So let's get that going with the planting. rows, 3 different planting methods. 3 rows, 3 different planting methods. So, time will tell if anything is better or worse for one or the other. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.